Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Good evening and welcome to your Monday. I'm C.L. Bryant and this is the C.L. Bryant Show. I want to welcome everybody throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. That would be America. God has shed his grace on thee, and I certainly appreciate you coming along with us for the journey today. I want to welcome aboard our friends in southern Arkansas, East Texas, and all throughout the Gulf Coast of our great state of Louisiana. Now, I want to start the show here today by giving a shout out to a man of great faith, a man who my wife and I depend on and trust to be our spiritual shepherd, and that is my pastor, Pastor James A. Believer McMinnis. He came through not even a turmoil. He came through one of the trials of life, and he came through it as a man of faith, and he shared how God delivered him from something that the doctors said couldn't be, but how God made that into the impossible possible. And I just want to send out love to you and best wishes and all of that for continued health and prosperity and wealth and all of that in the kingdom of our Savior. Love you, Pastor. Now, Ronnie Remedies, also want to thank you for being a faithful supporter of the show. That's Executive Sedan. Executive Sedan is the car of choice, the official car of the C.L. Bryant Show. Ronnie, his organization there, when I need to go to the airport, whether I even have to go over to Texas or wherever I have to catch a plane, they are the car. Executive Sedans. They take me there, and they can take you anywhere that you need to go as well. It is graduation season, and certainly hope that you will give them a call. Executive Sedans. Folks, listen. We are looking at something here that I do believe will, in fact, give us all a new look at America. America is not occupying the space that they were intended to occupy. There was something, in fact, my pastor was preaching on, has been preaching on this for several weeks now. He's talking about the rhythms of life and that type. It made me think about the rhythm that my life gets in and sometimes out of. And I was thinking about this in terms of America. America is out of rhythm. America is out of rhythm. When we look at Loretta Lynch, there to protect and defend tenets of our Constitution, we are looking at her saying these words, that she now wants to protect people from having to pretend to be something they are not. I have a lot to say about that. Let me tell you why. Because I lived through the civil rights era. My wife and I have lived through the evolution of interracial marriages since the early 70s in this country. And folks, there's no way I can pretend to be black or pretend not to be black. Let me say that. There's no way I can pretend not to be black. That's who I am, just by simple identification, even though we hate to speak in terms of colors and stuff. That's the way it is in America. That's the reality here in America. Women are women. They can't pretend not to be. Well, they can pretend not to be, but all the tests will show is with interracial couples. The interracial couples that have been evolved in this country, Acts of 64 and 65. This was not the occasion that they ever intended for this to be used for. And to have, this is the string about it.
1 minute.
And to have the first black president and the first black woman attorney general to use this as a civil rights issue, I think, is an atrocity. I'm CL. We'll talk more about it with our guest, Cammie Mueller, North Carolina Values Coalition. We're going to talk about HB 2 when I return. I'm CL. This is the C.L. Bryant Show. Don't go anywhere. Jam-packed show, and I promise you, one way or the other, you're going to be involved and engaged. Back in a minute.
Mama told me when I was young.
Rumors spreading round in that Texas town.
CL back with you on this Monday evening here in the Arklatex, the jewel cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport and Bossier, and to all of our friends throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth. That would be America. I want to thank you for coming along on this ride. And all our men and women across the pond, wherever they are, they're serving in this nation. I want to thank you for your emails and text that you send, and we certainly hope that we bring a bright spot to part of your day. I started off by giving my pastor a shout out and his healing. Love you, man. Heal fast. Great man of faith, and he not only preaches it, but he lives it. Pastor James A. Believer McManus. On the line with me right now is a warrior in the fight to keep our nation free for all and to take away the distortions that many times are presented to us by those who are appointed or assume office. Cammie Mueller, North Carolina Values Coalition, welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show. Glad you're here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Cammie, it appears that the fight has been joined by your governor, who I have great respect for and great admiration for. And McCrory could not have done a better stand-up job than he did by firing the first shot himself, filing suit against a heavy-handed and tyrannical government in this particular issue. Value Coalition, North Carolina Values Coalition, tell us what that's about.
Sure. The North Carolina Values Coalition is a group of established activists at the grassroots level and also statewide. And we seek to advance legislation and also to block legislation we seek to advance legislation that would advance any causes on life, marriage, or religious freedom, and we also seek to block any legislation that would in any way thwart those things. So we're a statewide group. We've got folks all across the state of North Carolina that are the boots on the ground doing really hard work day in and day out, especially with the eyes of the nation lately being focused on us as the federal government commits federal blackmail and also corporate blackmail with these businesses across the country.
And that's exactly what's happening with you. You're being the state of North Carolina is being corporately blackmailed. And I am leading an effort with a different group, but I won't mention them on top of yours because I'll be in North Carolina, and I think that there's a chance that you and I can work together. I'll be up in Durham in 3 weeks. I'll be up there in Durham.
Oh, great.
And so I'll call you when I'm there, before I get there. But this is one thing that I am encouraging, and Cammie, I would love for you all to join in with us. Listen, people like you and people like North Carolina Values Coalition, we're the ones who actually spend money in these businesses who call themselves boycotting North Carolina. We need to turn this table on them because the LGBT community represents not quite 1% of the entire population. No corporation can survive with just them supporting them. I believe it's time for us to take a stand on this as not only Christians and people who are of faith, but also people who spend money. What do you say?
Yes, I mean, in part I agree. I think if you should be spending money in accordance to your faith and however your conscience further dictates you to invest in our great economy. That's the beauty of the capitalist system. But I do believe it's over and above just putting our money where our mouths are. It's also about educating people. I think many of the folks who signed on to the HRC's, the Human Rights Campaign, their letter against North Carolina's House Bill 2, did so under duress or did so with misinformation. And that's unfortunate. You know, they're signing on to this letter and it's impacting our economy. And furthermore, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal in which our Attorney General, Roy Cooper, was quoted as saying that he sought out the CEO of Salesforce, which is based in San Francisco, to ask for his involvement and potentially disperse staff members to also go along this rabbit trail to get him to sign this letter and to intentionally harm the economy of North Carolina. And it's just unacceptable. For those of you who don't know, our sitting Attorney General, who's a Democrat, Roy Cooper, is running for governor, and this is nothing more than political pandering, which is absolutely inexcusable. And I hope that the citizens of North Carolina rise up, and I hope that the folks across the nation see the great leadership of Pat McCrory and our General Assembly, who also filed suit today against the DOJ, and they help make sure that they back the candidates that are standing up for religious liberty, that are standing up for people who are really just on the common sense track and state of mind, saying that under no circumstances should a man be allowed inside women's bathrooms, locker rooms, or showers. Period.
Absolutely. And this has nothing to do with hate. And this is what the DOJ, Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, is trying to turn this into some type of civil rights issue. Now,
Right.
I grew up in that era, and I said in the opening monologue of my show that Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King had no intention of this, in fact, being an issue in 2016. Cami Mueller is on with me, Values Coalition. Cami, can you stay with me another 7 minutes through another 7 minutes after the break?
Sure.
I'll be back with Cami Mueller, North Carolina Values Coalition, when I return. One more break. We'll continue this conversation. It is an important one that's facing America today. I'm CL.
Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? You've been out riding fences for so long now. Oh, you're a hard one.
CL, back with you on this Monday evening. We're on with Cami Mueller, North Carolina Values Coalition. Cami, when we left, I had asked you, or had presented the situation to you that so many are asking, is this or a situation of hate? North Carolina is being painted as a state that is conveying hate. Bring clarity to what this bill actually represents.
Right. So this really has nothing to do with love or hate. It has to do with common sense. Since the beginning of time, since we've had public facilities and running water, we've had a men's room and we've had a women's room. So this is a measure of common sense. HB2 simply requires that a man use the men's room and women use the women's room, and it applies to public accommodations. It also created a blanket ruling on that matter for all of our municipalities and cities in the state of North Carolina. We happen to be a Dillon's Rule state, which means our cities, towns, local municipalities only have that authority which is granted to them by the General Assembly. So the General Assembly, in the hope to continue the thriving economy that North Carolina currently enjoys, we're consistently in the top 5 states in which to do business, for growth, for GDP population. So to continue that incredible trend that our leaders have created a culture for our economy to thrive, they also included that measure. And so it really does one thing. It protects the right to privacy and the right to safety for women, for children, for businesses.
And that's very well said. I know that you have to run, but I do want to say this to you. I am totally in agreement with your governor and you, and I stand in solidarity with the North Carolina Values Coalition. And in the words of your governor, I believe, and as so many millions upon millions of Americans believe, that this was a baseless and blatant overreach of the federal government into a sovereign state. And North Carolinians, we're very proud of you. Mississippians, we're proud of you as well. They're fighting the same battle down there as well, Cammie.
And I'm a Southern Miss grad. I have 2 degrees from Southern Miss.
Are you really?
I do. I just have to give a shout out and say to the top.
Well, you know what?
I hope I'm doing you proud up here in North Carolina.
Well, absolutely. I'm sure you are. And of course, I have a lot of listeners there in the Jacksonville area. I'll be in Jacksonville here on the 24th, on June 11th. Agree to Agree rally. I'll be there. I'm the keynote speaker there. And as Michelle said to you, we pull for Ole Miss except when they're playing our Bayou Bengals, the LSU Tigers.
Listen. I went to Southern Miss, and I can't be associated with Ole Miss.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't understand you. I'm sorry. So Southern Miss, you get a pass, okay? Well, listen. God bless and keep you fight the good fight.
Well, thank you, and you'll keep up the great work. This takes an entire nation of people rallying behind our like-minded conservative leaders and activists. So thank you for your prayers and your continued encouragement and standing behind us. We can feel those all the way up here in North Carolina, and pray that they'll continue. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, and we'll do it together. We'll defeat this together. Thank you so much. Cammie Mueller, North Carolina Values Coalition. Folks, let me tell you something. When we talk about baseless and blatant overreach of government into a sovereign state, it takes me to a conversation that we're going to have here in America. We're going to have to revisit something that the founders intended for us in America. Yes, it may have been misused during the Civil War, but we're not fighting war. But this can turn into one if, in fact, we don't hear the idea of states' rights. The feds get their power from the states. Do you understand me? There are 50 sovereign states in the United States. And unfortunately, what has happened in this nation is that we have been led to believe, we have been under strong delusion that somehow the federal government is all powerful and that their money that they give to the states is their money. No, that's your money. that money comes from the state to the Fed. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The federal government has no business legislating these types of issues in a sovereign state like North Carolina, Louisiana, Mississippi, or wherever it may be. Unless you give over that authority to them, they don't have that authority. And tell you something even better than that, and even more powerful than that. Unless you give over your money to the feds, they don't have any money. It's your money. Now, listen, folks. The battle has to be joined at some point. And the truth about who the feds truly are is something that has to be taught, because our young people don't have a clue about what I just told you. And that is, the feds don't have any money. They really don't have an authority unless you lend them your authority. That's why we elect congressmen and senators to both houses. We send them from our states to represent us. And unless they are speaking for you, you need to get rid of them. If they're not speaking what your core values are in your state that you live in, that is represented in your state, you need to vote them out.
1 minute.
Because they have become pawns of the Fed, which really does not exist without you. We have to talk about this. I'm CL. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. My friends in Shreveport and Bossier, I do want you to stay tuned, because, especially in Shreveport, because there's a very special thing about to happen here with the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association. My good friend, Mr. Broussard, will be here with me in just a few minutes. When we return, I'm CL.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Welcome back. This is CL, your native son, broadcasting throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. Be sure to download the free CL Bryant app and listen to our show anywhere. And I want to thank our men and women in uniform throughout the globe who send in text and emails, and we hope that we bring a ray of sunshine from home to you, all of our friends in Southern Arkansas and East Texas. Thank you for joining us as well. There's a lot of business that's going on in the Shreveport-Bossier area, as is throughout the United States, but focusing in now on a local issue in our city, the city that I broadcast from, my hometown, Shreveport. Joining me is Rob Broussard, who is representing the Broadmoor Neighborhoods Association here right now. And Rob, I want to thank you for the first time for being here on the C.L. Bryant Show. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, sir. We find it a pleasure to be here, and we're here to do our part.
Now, you have an event going on tomorrow night. I believe that First Presbyterian?
Right, the Broadmoor Presbyterian Church
Presbyterian.
At 1915 Grover Avenue, 6:30 p.m. sharp.
And what's going on?
Well, we've heard a lot of accusations on social media from people about the government corruption that's going on. We recently saw that one of our former commissioners was found guilty of charges of corruption. Mm-hmm. And with all the finger pointing, we saw that, and we decided that really there needed to be a forum where all of the different agencies that deal with corruption in government, that we saw a need to bring them all together. Mm-hmm. So that through that educational process of having them define their jurisdictional responsibilities, we could find out who is responsible for investigating and who then prosecutes government officials that have stepped out of their bounds.
And who will be representing these various agencies?
We have Willie Shaw, who's the chief of police in Shreveport, mm-hmm. Chief of police. And then we have William Bradford, who is the city attorney for the city of Shreveport. We have the DA's office that's going to be represented. We also have Sheriff Steve Prater.
The High Sheriff.
The High Sheriff. And you know, he's always available for us. When we call, he shows up. So
good fellow. Good friend of the show as well.
Well, I mean, he's a good guy. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think most people in our area recognize that, as has been indicated by his vote when he's run.
Right.
And then to round out the group that's going to be there, we have an FBI agent, Ryan Allen, who will represent the investigative arm of the federal government. And then we have a representative from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of the United States of Louisiana.
And folks, I want to encourage each and every one of you, not just Broadmoor residents. This is something that all of us in the Arklatex area should take interest in. And tomorrow night at Broadmoor Presbyterian, 6:30, it would be a civic responsibility from my point of view for you to be there to share in the conversation, the questions, and hear the answers from those who represent us. Now, the end game, what are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, like I said a few minutes ago, there's been a lot of finger pointing about who's doing their job and who isn't. I think once the listening audience or those that come to our meeting hear what each branch says or each level of government says, then maybe we can get a better understanding of what each one does and how they work together and collaborate when one thing doesn't fall within their jurisdictions. Also, CL, we have I've been in contact with Jimmy Sandifer, the person who represents the IRS Criminal Fraud Division in North Louisiana. There's only 3 of those agents in North Louisiana, and they are busy tomorrow night. But Jimmy Sandifer has asked that I tell people who are listening that if anyone has any evidence to prove that there is corruption involving money, to please contact his office. And tomorrow night, I'm going to have his numbers available for
Fantastic. Jimmy Ellis. 320-5335. You have any questions for Rob Broussard, Broadmoor Neighborhood Association? He is in studio with me. We'll take your phone calls, and we'll take all your phone calls starting at 5:30. But we can take some phone calls now if you have any questions for Mr. Broussard on this particular issue. Now, obviously, as you said, there has been finger pointing. That finger pointing has come from whom?
It's come from several local bloggers who have done a really good job of identifying some of the corruption that has existed in our area. I know that they've gotten some reports from the Louisiana Legislative Auditor. They've done a lot of groundwork and investigation, and they're pointing out the things that they feel are criminal behaviors. And I think they're very frustrated at this point that prosecutions aren't happening. And as we've listened and watched, we've come to the conclusion that, well, we really do need some answers. And so, again, that's why we're getting all these agencies at one place, at one time, where the finger pointing stops.
In this process, when we're talking about, and we were talking about the thing that's going on in North Carolina and Mississippi, and one of the things that I always like to point out to our audience, the largest listening audience, over 35 in the Architects here that you happen to be speaking to right now, when we deal with this particular item, we're looking at where government actually starts in neighborhood associations. This is where government is actually began to be held accountable in neighborhood associations. Is that right?
Absolutely. We are a grassroots organization. We started, our organization was started in 1987 to deal with a zoning issue. I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road. Mm-hmm. And since then, we have been involved in hundreds of civic activities that involve government. Just this year, we've had the Mayor Ollie Tyler, who's come to our organization to explain rate increases in our water bills. Mm-hmm. We've had members of the water department come and explain rate hikes. We're holding our government officials accountable. They come, they speak, and they answer questions. We do not allow a speaker to come into our meeting and give a talk without fielding questions.
I'm C.L. Bryant, on with Rob Broussard of the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association. Tomorrow night, Broadmoor Presbyterian Church, 6:30. We're going to give the address out on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. CL. Monday, in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier City, and throughout the fruited plains of our great nation. You're listening to me wherever airwaves can reach. And I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. We were talking about, when we left, the importance of knowing your pecking order on the totem pole. And it begins, this is not a low pecking order. This is at the absolute top of the totem pole, and it trickles down, actually to the Fed. It starts in neighborhood associations. We lend the federal government our power. That is what the founders intended. How do we get that back accurate? I don't know, but it is. On with me here in studio is Rob Broussard, who is the North Carolina, the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association chair. Is that right? President. And tomorrow night at the Broadmoor Presbyterian Church, 6:30. What's the address, Rob?
It's 1915 Grover Avenue. That's right behind Arthur Circle Elementary School.
And those of you in Broadmoor, you certainly know where it is. And those of you who have smartphones, you can find it. And so now we were talking during the break about infusing fresh blood into the process. And you were talking about how when you began, this particular venture, you may have had 30 people, So it has grown. What do you attribute the growth to?
Well, I contribute the growth to several things. Number one, we are involving our citizens in government. We show up at city council meetings, parish commission meetings. We go to committee meetings at both of those levels of government. We also, I've walked the streets knocking on doors of neighbors. Recently we've had some tree trimming with SWEPCO that's going on. The neighbors were upset about what the companies were doing with trimming our trees in our neighborhood. Well, we got involved with SWEPCO. We wanted answers, and so working with the Public Service Commission, Foster Campbell, his representative met with me, and we answered all of our questions that we had about process and procedure with trimming trees. Two, like I mentioned before, Barbara Featherston meeting with us to discuss the water rates hikes and the sewage rate hikes. Our organization is where the rubber meets the road, and we don't shirk our responsibilities. We understand our role as good citizens, and we are responsible for helping take care of our neighborhood. Recently, we wrote a grant for $70,000 to implement a tutoring program at 2 of our elementary schools to help kids that were failing, that came from families that are on free and reduced lunches. We have this program to help raise their test scores.
Now, Rob, let me ask you this. Is Broadmoor autonomous? Do you work in conjunction with other neighborhood associations? How does that work?
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you right now, we get gobs of advice and feedback from each other. Southern Hills has been absolutely a wonderful group of people to work with. They've actually coached me on when I first became president on how to do other things. I work with Annie Mills of the South Highlands Neighborhood Association. We talk, we email, we're constantly looking at ways to improve how we work with the city and with the parish, and how we work with our neighbors.
Fantastic. 320-5335, 320-5335. I'm live in studio with Rob Broussard, president of the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association, and would certainly like a chance to speak with you if, in fact, you want to speak with him. Now, tomorrow night, again for our audience, tell me who will be there and what other trinkets do you want to share with us?
Well, first I'll share a trinket. When I came up with this idea, I pitched it to a few people, and they laughed. They said, "There is no way you're going to get 3 levels of government to show up at one time in one building to talk about their jurisdictional responsibilities. That's not going to happen. Well, it did happen. And it happened because people who know me know that I'm kind of persistent. You know, I'm like a little bulldog that says if I get on this task, I want to make sure it happens. But I also have to admit that every one of the people I talked to in those different levels was happy to have the opportunity to come and talk about this because they've seen the finger pointing, they've heard the criticisms, and now they have that opportunity to come in and talk about what they're doing. And by doing so, you know, I think all of our citizens, this is going to be like an adult civics lesson. You know, our citizens will know who does what, how they do it. But one thing I have to say is that if there is a criminal investigation case going on, they've all said, you know, that we cannot talk about specific cases that are under investigation.
Right.
And I can tell you, there are some that are under investigation.
Yeah.
You know, they won't tell me what, but
of course not.
They look at you and they say, we're doing it. So here's who's coming. You have Willie Shaw, the chief of police, for Shreveport. Great guy.
Absolutely.
And he answers our phone calls. When we need him in Broadmoor, he's there. William Bradford, city attorney. Man, I wasn't a fan of his when he first got hired. I looked and I said, man, why is Ollie Tyler hiring such a young guy? We need a seasoned veteran. Well, I'm here to tell your listeners, William Bradford has done a bang-up job.
He's a bulldog, too.
He is a great guy.
Great.
Okay? Steve Prater. I mean, Steve Prater speaks for himself. There have been people throwing rocks at him, saying that he's not doing his job because he's not running around out there arresting people. And you know, in my quest to try to be fair, I go, well, maybe he's doing things that he's not telling you because he can't. CL, my brother was a special agent for the IRS, and I can tell you, those people don't talk about things they're doing.
No, when you hear the old adage that goes, "Those who talk don't know, and those who know don't talk," it applies to.
Oh, amen.
To those.
And then think about it. I mean, we have an agent that participated in the trial, in the investigation of Mr. Williams, and he's going to be there. You know, these people also know. They know coming into it. There are going to be people out in the audience. They're going to have some pretty pointed questions.
Sure.
They're prepared to answer them.
It takes a stand-up guy to do this.
Yes, it does. And they didn't shy away from saying, we will answer questions.
Very good.
You know, so.
Very good. Well, I want to applaud each and every one of them. I want to applaud you. Tomorrow night, 6:30, Broadmoor Presbyterian. The address again.
It's 1915 Grover Avenue. And can I add something?
Go ahead.
This is not just for the
Hold
Broadmoor.
it until right after.
Okay.
Hold it until right after the break. Okay. I'll be right back. CL back with you on this Monday evening. And when we left, you were wanting to share some things about tomorrow evening. You were wanting to tell us not only how to get there, but also you wanted to, you wanted to share some other things.
Well, and we had a caller that asked, they didn't want to get on the air, CL, but they wanted to ask that because they don't live in Broadmoor.
Right.
But they wanted you to explain why is it beneficial, because this is about corruption in any city. This isn't about the Broadmoor neighborhood corruption. You're just doing this as a service, but it could be anybody, even in Bossier, because they live in Houghton.
Absolutely. And what I wanted to make right before the break, the point I wanted to make is that this is not just for our neighborhood association. We have posted on numerous neighborhood association pages all over town. This is open to the public. You do not have to be a member to attend this. Now, does that mean we don't want to recruit you to be a member? Absolutely not.
Even if you don't live in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. We have probably 25% of our membership does not live in Broadmoor, but they see what we're doing. They're proud of our efforts, and they've joined the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association. We charge $20 a year, okay, and from January to January, and that's for a household residence.
That's great.
If you have 3 people living in your house on Albany Street, $20 to get your family that membership, and it's a nice round number, easy to track, and we hope that we give you your bang for the buck. I mean, we do a whole bunch of things. From, like I said, the tutoring in the schools program. We have movies in the park, March the 20th, the last day of school. We have we're working in conjunction with SPAR, another government agency, to bring a movie in the park for our children. That starts at 8 o'clock. We're going to have pizza for $1. Shavers is going to cater crawfish.
And Shavers is a local
vendor
business there in Broadmoor.
Right. We've done programs for economic development. Last October, we had 36 businesses that came to the park and interacted with the citizens. It's those kind of interactions and those kind of encouragements to shop local. You don't have to drive to Dallas to get a cute little dress. There's a little shop called Little Black Dress right across the street from AC Steer.
Yes, I'm
wonderful little opportunity.
We buy clothes there.
I'm telling you, they showed up at a neighborhood meeting, brought out mannequins, and everybody that attended said, "We want to know when you're going to do this again." It's neighborhood reinvigorating itself.
So, folks, understand this. Wherever you live within the Arklatex area, and of course our voice, we do reach into East Texas and to southern Arkansas, and all the way down to Alexandria, all the way over to Monroe. We're over that way. Listen, folks, this is something that you may get an idea for your neighborhood by attending. So tomorrow night, Rob, give it one more time.
6:30, Broadmoor Presbyterian Church, 1915 Grover Avenue. The program starts at 6:30, and we're pretty prompt, so be there. And let me say this too. We host political forums for everybody that runs for office in the local area. We host forums for them, okay? And people got a little testy last year in some of the forums in other parts of town. That's not going to happen in our neighborhood association meeting. We have a process. We ask you to be respectful. We are in a church. We're not going to throw rocks and make accusations at people. It's going to be a program where you can come, and if you want to ask a question, here's the mic. But please do it respectfully, and you'll get a good answer.
And that's the way it should be done, decently and in order. I want to thank Holmes, Honda European, Bailey's Fine Jewelers, Tiger Axle, Milam Cars, Giuseppe's, DavTac Custom Arms and Ammo, Signature Cleaning, along with Chevyland for sponsoring this segment of the C.L. Bryant Show. Well, Rob, I want to thank you for being here with me. Tomorrow night, I want you to get you or one of your surrogates to get on the phone. Call us about in about 30 minutes from now.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, and let's see about the turnout. Let's see, did all of your participants show up? We want to know who didn't.
Oh, I'll tell you. I will tell you.
So all of you show up, but I tell you what, each one of them that you mentioned, they're stand-up people, stand-up men and women, and certainly wish you all the best. God bless and God keep you. Fight the good fight. Sounds like you are.
Well, thank you so much for having me here, and thank you for recognizing the role that all of these neighborhood associations are doing to try to help their neighborhoods and this city. They're all volunteers, just like me. We don't make a nickel. It's volunteer work, but that's what we're supposed to do. It's part of our responsibilities as being good citizens, and at our neighborhood, we're not going to shirk those responsibilities. Thank you, CL, for having me.
God bless you, man. Love it. I love the spirit that he has, and I love the idea of where Grassroots America begins its journey to running a nation. It begins with neighborhood associations. Come out tomorrow night, 6:30, at the Broadmoor Presbyterian Church there in Broadmoor, and become a part of the process. And I'm going to tell you something. It would be very good if you brought your teen, your young person, to this association meeting, because all government, when we talk about it being local, this is as local as it gets. From your home to meet with others in your neighborhood to decide how your community works, how it runs, and to hold those who hold office accountable to the people who live in the neighborhoods. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. I also wanted to thank Transmission Automotive Technology, Bossier City Harley Davidson, Grub Burger, and Air Innovation. Go see my friend Reggie Abear over there, along with Rimmer Electric, Adam Rimmer, and Good Life Health Food and Deli for sponsoring this segment of the show. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. I've been getting emails about, say something about Paul Ryan and what's going on with Trump and all of that type of thing. I'll do it with your phone calls when I return. I'm CL.
But it was long ago. Jane, it was lovely. She was the queen of my night. There in the darkness with the radio playing low and the secrets that we shared, mountains that we moved, caught like a wildfire out of control, till there was nothing left to burn.
CL, back on this Monday evening here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex. And on the line with me is Dayton. We're going to take your phone calls at 320-5335, 320-5335. Dayton, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Hello, sir. I would just, as quickly and concisely as I can, do my best to put an end to the transgender bathroom argument.
All right, do it.
Well, sir, the problem is that this argument is not about hate. It's not about love. It's not about civil rights, and it's certainly not about human rights. It's an argument of basic biology and logic. See, gender is not defined by what you have in terms of features. Gender is defined by your chromosomal makeup. Men have the XY chromosome, and females have the XX chromosome. No matter what you look like, no matter
Yeah, what laws they may come up with. Go ahead, Dayton.
No matter what sex organ you have, if you were born a man, you die a man, because there is no way to change your chromosomal makeup, and that is what determines if you are a man or a woman. And men need to go into the men's room, and women need to go into the women's room.
Absolutely.
If you're a man and you think you're a woman, you don't need to be going into the women's room. You need to be going into a mental hospital.
You need to see Dr. Psychosis. That's who you need to see, Dr. Psychosis, because that is what it is. You know, it's good to, you sound like a young man, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you sound like a young man, and it's good to hear a young man talking right-minded and right-headed the way you are. I travel the country. I travel a lot of places in the country, talk to a lot of young people around the nation, and so many of them are not right thinking. Man, you're really the hope of our nation. I want to thank you for calling in. Great call. Thank you, Dayton.
Thank you, sir.
Joining me now on the line is Buster. Buster, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. Old Halls, how you been?
I'm doing well, CL.
What's on your mind, friend?
Well, I've been busy. I'm almost through shredding all my autographed Bush pictures. I'm just about through with them. I've still got a few on my wall that I'm almost through shredding them all, but I just wanted to voice my opinion that there was no reason for Bush to come out and say anything if he didn't have to endorse Trump or not endorse Trump. He just needed to sit over there, and if he don't like Trump, don't vote for him.
Exactly.
But there was absolutely nothing gained other than ammunition for the liberals to criticize Trump over it.
Right.
There was nothing gained there. And I just want to leave a little reminder that Paul Ryan is going to go the way of Eric Cantor.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't pay attention to the voice of the American people.
Absolutely right. And you know what, Buster, also, I want you to weigh in on this. If, in fact, we don't bring, if we don't unite, and this is what I've been trying to tell people on this show. No, everybody knows that I was with Ted, but Ted, my general got shot out of the horse. But we still have to, off his horse, but we still have to win this battle. We have to win this war. And so if Trump is now the general that's leading this army, then, hey, we have to march behind this general to take the White House. What do you say, Buster?
I agree 100%. But my position is that if they don't have anything good to say about him or don't want to endorse him, that's fine. But don't come out and against him. The ex-president's coming out against him. Romney coming out against him was probably a badge of honor.
Yeah, really, because that is true. Romney didn't hurt him. I tell you that much. Romney did not hurt him.
He's a two-time loser. The whole scenario stunk with Romney. The first time he run against McCain beat him, and then Obama whooped McCain like he stole something.
That's a fact.
Then the next time we're going to run Romney, who couldn't beat McCain, who Obama trounced. So we're going to run Romney. It didn't make any sense.
And then what they're talking about is a third party deal here, which is absolutely the death.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy as a run over dog. That's just absolutely crazy.
Well, Buster, I want to wish you the best. My old friend from high school. Actually, we go back to Lakeshore Junior High. And so, listen, man, God bless and God keep you and everything that you're doing. And thank you so much for listening and supporting the show.
You bet, Sam.
Yeah, folks, it has to come to a point. Listen, if you are a conservative, if you are a Republican, the Republican Party has been the party of conservatives. There may be an evolution going on in the party, but you cannot abandon everything that we have held dear just in a protest vote against Donald Trump. Michelle, who do we have? Belinda, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, I want to make 2 points. President Obama did nothing when he became president, and he surrounded himself with his little minion of czars who became his advisors. I think, I was not a Donald Trump supporter. However, I agree that we have to rally the troops behind him. And with his business acumen, do you not think that he is going to pick superior people to be advisors so that he can accomplish something? I mean, I just can't imagine somebody in his position who would not get the best of the best.
I agree with you, Belinda, and I tell you something. If he doesn't pick the right people, and if you and I have this conversation several months from now, 5 months from now, and he's done something crazy, but between you and I looking on, we're all prize fools. I got to tell you that much. But I don't believe. I like you. I'm believing that he's got to pick the right people, and I think he will. Belinda, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for calling. I'm up against a break. I got to go, but thank you so much for voicing your opinion. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. Don't you go anywhere. I'm going to be back in just a few minutes. And yes, I'm going to give my opinion on Paul Ryan and how this thing could shake out if it goes south or north. I'm a Southerner. If it goes north, I'll be back.
The sky is crying. Canyons and the tears roll down the street.
CL back with you on this Monday evening. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your calls and all of our guests who have been on today. Well, Paul Ryan and Donald Trump will meet this week on Thursday. And Ryan, of course, is the chairman of the convention, and he would preside over it. And Trump, the presumptive nominee, they have basically come to, at this point, an impasse. Three things could happen. One, they could agree that Paul Ryan will, in fact, support Donald Trump. That's the first thing that could happen on this Thursday meeting. They could walk out with that. Or they could walk out that maybe Paul Ryan will not support Donald Trump, but he won't do anything to harm him. That's the second scenario that could happen with this. Or thirdly, Paul Ryan says, I'm not going to support you. That's the third and perhaps the worst scenario that could occur, because there are several bridges that have to be crossed. And one of the things that many of us are missing in this, yes, in the primary elections in the various states that Trump, of course, walked away with, you had a very strong evangelical vote that the majority of them split up between candidates did in fact vote for Trump in some key states. But don't think that that is representative of the entire evangelical population of the country, because it's not. And the question has to be, where will they go? I'm encouraging them to wait and see what happens here with Trump. If he becomes the nominee, then we have to make sure that he gets the White House. We have to make sure of that, because at least we have some leverage of keeping him in line, because he will be elected as a public servant. We're not anointing a king, okay? And he's not the savior of America. Keep that in mind. We're not trying to bring somebody into the fray who's going to save us. It's certainly not Donald Trump. So we are needing to nominate, we're needing to elect somebody to the White House who will be a servant and a voice, an ambassador of America. That's who the president is. He is the ultimate servant of the people. And this is what troubles me so about when I hear people talking about Trump. And listen, you keep in mind, he's already said that Chris Christie is going to be the head of his transition team. Now, that says a lot. I'm not going to get into what it says, but it says a lot. So, I say this all the time. I haven't put on the Trump jersey yet because, he still could say something stupid. He really could. And like I told my friend Buster when he was on the phone, well, the general that I was following into battle, has been shot off his horse. It's over for him. The Cruz campaign's dead. And anybody thinking about running a third-party campaign is stupid. I'll say it very plainly. You're stupid. No, we're not going to mount a conservative constitutional candidate and beat Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. We'll simply lose the White House, and we'll lose the Supreme Court. We will lose the House of Representatives, and we will lose the Senate. And you might as well close the door on the Republic while you're at it if Hillary Clinton gets carte blanche to the Supreme Court, to the Senate, and to the House of Representatives. Might as well close the door on the Republic, because this whole idea about fundamentally changing America, when she signed on with the Obama administration, that was part of the deal to continue the fundamental change. You can believe it. And a word to Donald Trump about this, too. Don't think you're going to beat Hillary by trying to drag Bill through the mud. Bill was being drugged through the mud when he got reelected. Do you understand me? You better take Hillary Clinton down on Benghazi. You take her down on being an inferior Secretary of State. You take her down on those emails. You take her down on Vince Foster. You take her down on Travelgate. You take her down on the issues. But do not think that the American people are going to vote for you if you start attacking Bill when they reelected Bill in the midst of Monica Lewinsky. So we got to have some sensibility here about how to go about doing this. And the target is Hillary. The target is Hillary. Bill has done his time as president.
2 minutes.
Well, he served, there's a lot of presidents that were worse than Bill. Believe me. A lot of presidents who were worse than Bill. Barring Monica Lewinsky, hey, and all that. Actually, looking back on it, right now, we kind of miss old Bill, don't we? So get rid of that. Throw that overboard. Get Hillary. Beat her, and you'll beat him. He won't be in the White House anymore. I want to thank some of our new clients, Mercatech, Red Wing Shoes. That's Jim Nelson. Go check out Jim over there. Outdoor Builders Network. Bill, go check him out. Bill at owner of Builder Network. Check him out. Bill Builders Network. Bill. And Red Wing Shoes, Jim Nelson, Mercatech, Jarrett Sawyer. They do some fantastic work. In fact, the app that you can download free, Mercatech did it. Sure did. Did a great job. Good Life Health Food and Deli. I'll probably be in there tomorrow to get me some of that chicken salad on Ezekiel bread. You know how I like it. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. We're going to be back with more conversation when I return. There's a lot to talk about. I want to talk a little bit more about this LBGT thing when I return. Back in a minute.
Been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true. Wanted a woman, never bargained for you. Lots of people talk.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
It is I, your native son, C.L. Bryant. This is the C.L. Bryant Show, and I want to thank each and every one of you for listening out there today. All of your phone calls have been absolutely intriguing, and they have been on point. The question now is, where do we go from here, both nationally and locally? And speaking of locally, we have on the line with me Senator John Milkovich. John, I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, friend?
Pastor, thank you so much. Wanted everyone to know, Pastor, that we are holding a Faith and Family at the State Capitol rally. That's a Faith and Family at the State Capitol rally.
Faith and Family at the Capitol. When is that, John?
It's Thursday, Thursday morning at 9:30 on the steps of the State Capitol.
I certainly wish that I could be there, John. I'll be flying out. I'll be headed up to Detroit the day after, and otherwise I'd be there with you.
Well, you narrowly escaped because we have wanted you to be one of our keynote speakers. I know you do a great job, but I'll tell you what, I'm hoping that next year we can go ahead and lasso you.
Yeah. Let's start putting it on. Let's put it on the calendar right now. I'll have Michelle put it on the calendar right now. We'll be there next year, but we have some business to take care of. We're trying to hold on to the Senate and the House here in this country. Regardless of who becomes president, we need to hold on to the Senate and the House. And so I'll be mobilized to help our nation do that if we possibly can. John, what is this particular gathering going? What's the end game? What are you wanting to accomplish?
Actually, this is a day for the people of Louisiana to come down and say, look, we want our legislators to stand up and defend our faith and defend Louisiana families. And also to acknowledge that there have been some legislators that have been in the trenches fighting. You don't hear about them in the media, but State Senator Jonathan Perry, former state representative Brett Guyman, who's now a candidate for Congress, there are some legislators that have been fighting for faith and our families, our freedom. In particular, we are making a stand against Real ID, a national compulsory ID. We're against that. We're also against Common Core. So we're getting some folks down here in the state capitol to say we're against the federal takeover. We're against the feds taking over our driver's licenses and any agendas they might have. We are against the federal takeover of state and local education. Some people call it Common Core.
Yeah. And let me ask you this, John, or at least let me say this, because this is a message that I on Common Core that I attempt to take throughout the nation. Common Core, folks, has never been about education. It's about indoctrination. Yeah. That's what Common Core is about. And John, I got to tell you something. Even though I know that you are one of those free-thinking people, you don't necessarily see party, even though you are a Democrat and you're my good friend. But I certainly appreciate your conservative values and your core values, and you stand up for them. I don't care where you are. I have never known you to back away from your core values.
Oh, well, you're so very kind. You know, we ran on Bible principles, the United States Constitution, but I feel like there is a whole bunch of people in Louisiana and America that feel the same way. You know, our nation's founded on the Bible. It's founded on the United States Constitution. It's founded on faith, family, and freedom. And, you know, the good news, and this is what's encouraging, is sometimes I get a little bit disappointed by some of the votes that I see in the legislature. But the good news is there are some legislators in Baton Rouge slugging it out for the people, and this is a chance for us to acknowledge some of the people that are doing the people's work. And by the way, you are absolutely right on Common Core. It was the creators of Common Core were federally subsidized. The people that wrote the tests were federally funded. The man that brought it to Louisiana is federally connected. He's a protege of Arnie Duncan, the federal education czar. So, you know, people can deny that Common Core is a federal agenda. It's federal. It was created. It's got federal money. It's a federal monetary project.
And go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, I mean, it's just that in addition to the fact that the feds gave the states money, gave them monetary inducements to adopt Common Core without the people ever voting on it or even knowing what we were getting.
Exactly right. And so we have an opportunity now, folks, to speak to these issues. And John, before I let you go, since all politics is local, how important is it for people to understand that when we send people like you to office, and then when they make not only state office, but then they go to federal office, the federal House of Representatives, United States Supreme House of Representatives, and the United States Senate, how important is it for them to understand that we are electing servants? That's the way I see you. I see you as a statesman. I see you as a servant. And I want you to hold, John, I want you to answer that question on the other side of the break. Hold for me through the break. I want to talk to you on the other side of the break. On with State Senator John Milkovich, my good buddy. And we're going to continue this conversation about statesmen who are elected, servants who are elected, and how so many of us don't understand the role of the politician as they are known. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Don't go away.
Very superstitious writings on the wall. Very superstitious.
CL back with you on this Monday evening. And folks, there is a lot of dazed and confused people in this country over the process that we are going through to select the next president of the United States. And one of the things I wanted to share with you and have shared with you today is that process begins locally, and that the Fed answers to you. Earlier, I had on the president of the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association, and it cannot get more local government than that, because your neighborhood, where you live, your household, is represented there. And tomorrow night he has a bevy of people from Chief Shaw all the way up to and of course Sheriff Prater, and all the way up to FBI agents will be there to answer your question about the process. They should answer to you. You are the citizenry from which they get their power. You lend them your power. On the line with me now is State Senator John Milkovich, who understands well what I'm talking about, because not only is he an elected official, he is a person who I have found to be who has a servant's heart. And John, good to call you friend, even though we're not in the same party. We do share the same core values, and I don't know why you're a Democrat, but anyway, you are. And so
well, we've talked about this. The political label isn't important to me, but I appreciate UCL for fighting for faith, family, and freedom. And you were just talking about, this is the important distinction. Politicians make speeches, but public servants get in the trenches of their communities and work. They walk onto the battlefield of the legislature and fight. And they get on their knees and pray. And we have some folks that are serving in this legislature and that have served in the recent past and have been doing some work and fighting and praying. And that includes Elbert Guillory, former state senator. That includes who's running, by the way, Elbert's running for Congress in the 4th Congressional District. Mm-hmm. That includes Brett Guyman, who served in the House of Representatives and now is running for Congress in the 3rd Congressional District. And that represents State Senator Jonathan Perry, who doesn't get a lot of limelight, but he is a former police officer, former prosecutor, great family man and Christian who serves in the Louisiana Senate. There are some people out there doing the people's work.
Absolutely, and I'm really glad that you are one of them, John, and I want you to tell us again about the event that's coming up on this Thursday before you go.
Yes, thank you so much, Pastor. It's the Faith and Family at the state government rally, at the state capitol rally. It's the Faith and Family at the state capitol rally. It's going to be on the steps of the state capitol this Thursday morning, May 12th, 9:30 a.m. It's going to be an opportunity for the people of Louisiana to come forward and give the legislature this message. We are for faith and family and freedom, and it's time to pull the plug on Common Core, and we don't need a compulsory national ID. We don't need the federal government taking over Louisiana.
Faith, family, and freedom. It is a rally for you, the citizens of Louisiana, there on the Capitol steps, and there can't be a better place to have this. That is your state capital. Yeah, you be there and support it. I would be there with you if I could. But John, listen, I'll be praying for you, and certainly I solicit your prayers for me. God bless and keep you, man. And I know that you're going to fight the good fight. So I'll talk to you soon.
Keep up the good work, Pastor. God bless you.
John Milkovich, who is one of those servants, a true servant of the people. And, John, I'll be talking to you about serving the people from the other side of the aisle. But anyway, great guy.
You have a great night.
Great guy. You too, John.
Thank you so much.
Now, folks, I want to tell you this about where I believe we're going. You see, this thing with the LGBT thing, you know that it's not about bathrooms, right? You know that, huh? No. This isn't about bathrooms or anything like that, anything of the kind. No. The LGBT community will not be happy to just use bathrooms. This is not about bathrooms. This is about social design and agendas. This is about social design and agendas. And Loretta Lynch is the, I'll say she's the carpenter now. But the Obama administration, they were the architects. I'm CL. Be back in a minute. CL. Back to close it out tonight. I just want to hit a couple of highlights, points that I made throughout the show to leave you with something to think on tonight. Till I talk to you again tomorrow, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. You know, as I said, this LBGT thing, Rosa Parks and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., they didn't have this in mind when they were talking about public accommodations for everybody. This was not on their mind, believe me. And this is not about bathrooms anyway. This is a social design, and it is a part of an agenda. That's what this is about. Don't forget that. It's about a social design and a progressive liberal agenda. And throw in this too. It's to ensnare your children. Believe it. And for the most part, they've been very successful while we slept. And then, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, think about this. Played sports, all that kind of thing, love sports, follow a lot of, following basketball now as they head toward the finals and all that. Football is my sport, though. Love football. I'm a Cowboy fan. But there's no saying in sports, no player is bigger than the game. No player is bigger than the game. But then we have to ask ourselves this question about the political game and the political players. Because if we're not careful, we as the people who actually elect these people to office will begin to make the political players bigger than the game. And yes, politics is the old political game. It's played in certain ways. No player can be bigger than the game. And we the people are the ones who set the rules to that game, because we're the owners of any franchise that is federal. We the people are the owners of any franchise that is federal. And so we can't not let, as we have in the past, we can't allow any player to become bigger than the game, our game. I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another day, and I want to thank Him for our men and women in uniform around the globe who defend our rights to speak our mind. And until I'm able to talk to you again, I'm CL, and may God bless and keep you all.
And to the families left behind, we'll stand by your side, and the bond will never be torn.